All right. Hey, everyone. This is Eben. And today I was actually just going to put out a sort of your normal time-lapse video here and put some fun music over it. But I actually thought I'd do something different and a bit more informal for you today. And I wanted to talk a little bit about why 2020 was the best year of my life, without a doubt so far. And I know you may be asking, like, Eben, 2020 was a disaster. Like, obviously, the world is going through some terrible things right now. There's a global pandemic. There's political turmoil. You know, there's a growing climate disaster. Like, how could you possibly be having a good time right now? And and that's not really what I'm saying. Obviously, those things are happening, and obviously there are a lot of terrible changes and global events that are occurring right now, and a lot of people are suffering directly as a result of that. And I don't want to discredit any of that or sort of or say that their suffering isn't valid. I totally understand a lot of people are in a really tough situation right now. But my point is, you have some flexibility there, and there are a lot of ways that you can shift your perspective and change your focus and move your awareness in ways that will that will alleviate a lot of that suffering and a lot of the suffering that you experience unnecessarily. And this is what I've been doing for the past year or more, basically since September of 2019. And a lot of these mindsets have really helped me to grow both as an artist and as a person, and have really directly led to my steady increase in health and wellness and general productivity, and an increase in my art skills as well over the past year. So today I want to talk a little bit about what that journey has been like for me, and how you can use those same principles to change your mindset and shift your focus no matter what your situation is, and to get more out of every day of your life, to get more out of your art practice at the very least, and to use those mindsets to improve your own skills, your well-being, and your general mindset. So before I start here, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I do release new videos like this every week, and I do live streams on Sundays. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, hit that bell notification so you don't miss these videos when they come out. Okay, so let's get going here. So where am I coming from? If 2020 was the best year of my life, those other years must have been pretty bad, right? And I mean, to be honest, you're not completely wrong. I really spent most of my life, I would describe it as like a tunnel, a very dark, sort of limiting tunnel. And, you know, if you spend all of your life sort of in this limited worldview, and then sort of suddenly you emerge from the other side, it's very difficult not to sort of revel in that for a while, and to sort of really appreciate that. But that's, you know, it's I don't want to say that this was some sort of miraculous transformation, and I think it was in part luck, but in part a lot of deliberate practice and ways that I actually was able to change my perspective and my focus and my daily practice in a way that fundamentally shifted how I viewed things and how I viewed my own life and the world at large. I mean, it's so hard not to be sort of bogged down by all the things that you're perceiving every day through social media and through the news. I mean, it's very easy to get caught up in this sort of global mentality of just spiraling despair and anger and a lot of, you know, sort of chaos. And I guess, you know, when you what I sort of slowly began to realize is that I don't have to participate in that per se, and, you know, because there's so many things that are outside of your control, and it's, you know, on a daily basis you have a choice about where to place your focus. So I'll get to that in a minute, but let's sort of rewind a bit to where I was in 2019 and how I got from there to here. So for most of my life, I have been the only way I can describe it is suffering very intensely for no particular reason. And I mean, of course, I can attribute it to all kinds of things. I can I can trace the path, from certain events or whatever, or certain habits I picked up when I was young. I can't really pinpoint a cause, and I don't really need to. All that really matters is that I was suffering very intensely, and I saw absolutely no way out of it. Everywhere I looked, it was just darkness and despair, and I really could not perceive any way that I could ever really live or ever progress or ever grow or have a life beyond this dome of despair and darkness around me. And it was getting quite bad. And I don't want to go into all the details here because it's not really important, but I was really on not a good trajectory for a long time, and I would sort of go down, and then I would come up for air every now and then and start to sort of put things together, and then I would just dive back down, and there was no solid ground. I was just constantly on the verge of nothing, basically, and so by the end of 2019, I had sort of made these plans. I mean, they weren't even plans really. It was almost like they were plans to sort of. I mean, I didn't want to have any friends. I didn't want to live anywhere. I didn't want to be in contact with anyone really. I didn't want to exist. I just sort of wanted to fade away, and I tried to get rid of a lot of my possessions, and that didn't really work out. And I sort of made this plan to sort of like hit the road and, I don't know, just sort of drive around or I don't know. I had no plan. I just sort of wanted to get away from everything. And fortunately, that's not what happened. And at a certain point, I kind of backed myself into a corner, and I had to make some quick decisions. I didn't have any money, and I didn't have any plan, and that was really starting to become clear. And I was approaching the end of my lease at a place I was living in, and I ended up just sort of making a snap, like on the same day that my lease ended, I made a snap decision to, instead of just living out of my car for the foreseeable future, I decided to move into this house with a bunch of random women that turned out to be very, very nice, and in this beautiful property in Vermont, which I didn't even know this kind of house existed, and I least of all never expected to be living in it. It just sort of appeared out of nowhere, and for some reason it was affordable, and and I met these really nice people, and I made some good friends. I made one really good friend whom I was able to sort of just spend some time with, and not really be myself anymore. It was kind of the opposite of what you would expect. I was sort of able to escape myself a little bit in just being there and being involved in the beautiful. There's just this gorgeous view, and like I was just blown away by this. I don't know, it was good fortune almost, but it was a result of a quick choice that I made. So there's always this strange balance between the two. But anyway, I was just sitting on the top of this mountain, looking out and seeing all this beautiful scenery, and like feeling quite different. Like I was just sort of, I could smell things, I could see beauty here and there, even though I was still just sort of in this chaotic, dark turmoil. It was just little bits here and there, and I think it was something about being around those people and being in this new place where I was just sort of, I kind of saw these opportunities. I was like, well, if I'm going to be alive, I might as well just start making it a little bit easier for myself. So I just started doing little things, drinking a bit more water and taking showers, and making food for myself, keeping my room and my space. I had a little space there, and I just tried to keep that a little bit more organized, and just to make it a little bit easier on myself. And so it was just very simple things. I wasn't trying to do anything wild. I just sort of started building from the ground up, and I kept working at this job that I had in a local kitchen, and I started really enjoying the time I spent with those people, and sort of getting some satisfaction out of that, which was something I just rejected for a long time. I never I'd always believed I was going to be doing something great, and it was whether or not that was true. It was just I always compared that to my current situation. So I did a lot of so many different jobs that had nothing to do with my passions, and I just resented every minute of it. And this was one of them for a while. It was this job in a kitchen, and I don't know, something sort of switched for me, and I started to appreciate some of the creative freedom I had at that job, and some of the ways I could improve. I felt like it was such a small world, and it was almost inconsequential in terms of, everything that's happening in the world, but it was like a little place where I had some power and some creative freedom. And so I just sort of spent some time improving that and trying to find ways to improve, the system at that job. I was in sort of a supervisor role at the time, so I had a little bit of satisfaction from that, and from knowing the people there. And so, like, people were hugely important at this point, and just like making this, like, identifying those small areas where I had the potential for growth and change. Not even thinking about it in those terms. I wasn't even really thinking about it in that way at the time, but I was just doing it, And so, as time went by, I just started to build up smaller habits. I thought, okay, maybe I can start injecting some more art practice here. I was still doing a lot of commissions on the side, and but I had sort of thinking that would never go anywhere for a while, but I was sort of thinking, maybe there's some potential here. So I just kept at it. I kept making new work and trying to build my social media presence a little bit. And I started to, try to incorporate a little bit of, some meditation here and there, and started to add smaller habits, and started to try to cut back a little bit on the other ones that were sort of just getting in the way. It was things like drinking and watching movies and all these vices that I've struggled with for a really long time. It wasn't as if I just wanted to eliminate them. It was almost like I had an idea of something else I wanted to do, and they kept sort of getting in the way. It was hard to do the things that I was sort of trying to invest my time in, when all these other just chaotic, dark things kept popping up, and I was like, okay, I should probably do that a little bit less, and so I could have a bit more time for these other things. And so that just sort of grew and grew, and I ended up moving with one of the people I met in that house to a new house in Vermont here, and meeting some other new people, and sort of, I almost had an opportunity to reforge myself a little bit in a small way in this new context. And I think for a lot of people, that's really key in making changes in their life, is forcing yourself into a new situation where you're not sort of surrounded by all the things that have formed your identity so far. And I really believe that identity is not that important anymore. It's really, you can really take on a lot of you can become a reflection of your surroundings if you force yourself into different surroundings. So that's one key element. But another thing was, I was just building these habits. I was focusing on creating consistent practices, and it wasn't easy. And I mean, to this day, I really lack a lot of consistency in a lot of that stuff. But it's a huge change from where I was, and it takes a bit of time. But yeah, I was starting to develop, I was starting to do some analysis of like how I can improve these things. I was like, okay, I want to have like a daily meditation practice, or I want to have a daily art practice. How do I go about doing that? Like, that's something my body and mind have always resisted. It's something I've never been able to put together. But like, how do I really do it? Beyond just saying like, I just don't work that way. Like, my mind just doesn't, like, really, like, okay, sure, maybe I'm not really well predisposed to doing that, but I just did some research. I looked online, I read some books, I figured out ways that, actions that I could take to sort of hijack my own psychology and create new patterns, create new habits. And so I was doing a bit of that, and I was starting to meet some really great people. I met some people through doing commissions, and some of those people who continue to be really great friends today that I've actually never even met in person, but they still remain like huge supporters of my work, and they're always trying to help me out, and like always telling me how great my work is. And those things just started popping out, and I ended up meeting some other people. I met Walid Faghali, who's the CEO at Evident, and he I was talking to him a little bit, and I was sharing my work in that group, and we ended up striking up a great partnership where I was doing some work for them, and helping with their creative education materials, and I was talking with him, and he would sort of help me out with some guidance on how to improve my own work, and I was watching his videos as well, and I was looking at all these YouTube videos about how I can improve my art skills too, because I was starting to get this idea that I really ought to make a stab at like really being a full-time artist. I mean, it was something that nobody had ever told me I should do. Or if they did, it was always like, well, you can, but it's really not. I mean, nobody was ever like, yeah, that's a smart thing, you should definitely do that, because it's a great career choice. I mean, even when I was in college, I had art professors, and it was always like, it's tough, and you're always forging your own path, and there's no real established system for it, and I had learned at this point that I really didn't want to pursue the gallery system. It just really didn't make any sense to me, and it seemed like it was really all about perceived value and sort of all these abstract concepts, and I just really wanted to engage with the craft. I just really liked making beautiful stuff and like realistic stuff and fantasy stuff, and there's just no place for that in the conventional modern art scene. So I really had no idea what I was doing, and honestly, to this day, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm making it up as I go, but that's the thing. I started to develop the tools I needed to find out for myself, and if there wasn't an answer out there, I would just sort of figure it out. Like I would create my own model for how to proceed, and I would try it, and if it didn't work, I would change it up. So I was sort of on this path to considering transitioning, but it was difficult because I was still really relying on this kitchen job to fill out the rest of my income and to pay for rent, and I really wasn't making any money as it was. I had a little bit of savings, but anyway, what ended up happening was obviously around February, March of this year, the pandemic started hitting the US, and I ended up getting furloughed from that job. So I sort of had a choice to make for myself, and I guess what could have been a disastrous situation ended up actually being the best thing that could have happened to me. I was sort of forced to make a choice for myself, and I decided to to take action and to have faith in myself and my abilities, and to launch into full self-employment through the work I was doing for art commissions, and some of the work I was doing with Evident, and all this stuff I was doing online to build my art business and get more clients that way. I figured, look, I'm smart enough. I have a pretty good amount of skill. Like, there's a lot to improve, but that's one of the things I can work on. I can spend a lot of time improving my skills to get to the place I need to make a living off of this. I think it's possible, and I'm gonna do it. So that's exactly what I did. A lot of things sort of happened, and that were that could have been perceived as really disastrous. I mean, I lost my job. I was on the receiving end of a car collision that totally destroyed my car. So I had no car, I had no job, and I was approaching the end of the lease for the place I was in, and somehow I was just able to sort of shift my perspective on all, and not somehow. I mean, I was really working on a regular meditation practice. I was reading a lot from different Buddhist and Stoic authors, and also just like really focusing on what I was doing at that moment. And so for a lot of those things, they just ended up being really great. I mean, that car collision provided me with a little bit of insurance money that I could put towards moving to a new place, which is this beautiful place I'm in now. And I got a new car, and somehow I had no money, but these things just sort of kept coming together in really I don't know, helpful ways. And it was I don't know, I don't want to tell you that, like, if you change your mindset, the world will just hand you things, but looking back on it, it's kind of bizarre. You hear people say that, but like, it is a little weird that all these terrible things happened this year, and yet here I am in this situation with an art business that's growing every day and getting more commissions from people and connecting with all these awesome people and artists and art fans online and around the world, and just, I don't know, it's pretty bizarre. So anyway, yeah, I moved to this new place, and I just started making a plan. I was like, okay, I had a little bit of savings. I was on unemployment for a little bit, and I was able to to use that to sort of smooth out that transition. And so I just made a plan. I was like, okay, here are my assets. Here are the things that I'm currently using. Here's what I need to get to. How am I going to do that? So I just started building things up from the ground up. I started working on my website. I started working on building an email list, on building a social following, on actively seeking connections through other artists, and most importantly, developing daily habits and practices that I knew would allow me to create consistent growth. And that was a huge thing for me, is finding ways to just every single day just invest a little bit into the things I was trying to grow and improve. And so, yeah, also trying to find ways to improve my art skills, because I needed to do so really quickly. I knew I was going into a highly competitive industry. I knew my skills weren't going to cut it really. And even if I was at a point where, like, if I showed a painting to a friend, they'd be like, oh wow, that's really cool, but I knew that wasn't going to be enough. Like, you can't just have artwork that impresses a few people. It's like, I knew I needed to get to a new level to where I was really competitive in this industry. And frankly, I knew it wasn't smart. Like, this isn't a good career choice if I'm trying to make a whole bunch of money. But I knew it was what I wanted to do, and I had an opportunity to do it. So I just sort of grabbed that opportunity and ran with it. So and since then it's just been trial and error, and trying something for a while and then realizing that it's not working, and doing some more research, going online, I had to learn so much about business and marketing and interacting with potential clients and all this stuff that, like, most of it was just learning how to be an entrepreneur, essentially. But I never went to business school or anything. I never even thought of this as a business, but I had to shift that mindset. It's really, I don't know, it's worked out in some way or another, and it's continuing to grow, and I'm seeing a lot more possibilities now, and I'm starting to see that at the rate things are growing now, there's really a lot of potential over the next 2 or 3 years to reach some really incredible levels, just in terms of my art skills and in terms of actually making a living off of this, and having some fun with it too. So I just want to briefly talk about some of the concrete things, because I know this may seem very, like, abstract to you, and I don't want to bore you all day with the details. And there are other videos I have that talk a bit about more specifics as far as the habits I've developed and the approach you can have to your own artwork. And I'm actually working on implementing a system through my website where I can sort of talk to people and guide them a little bit more one-on-one about how to implement these things in their own art practice. So keep an eye out for that, and announcements about that over the next couple weeks. But essentially, a lot of it has to do with sort of hijacking basic functions of your brain, because your conscious power is a bit limited, but there are a lot of things your mind does automatically, and you can sort of set yourself up to sort of automate a lot of the things in your life. And for me, it's not just about the art practice. And I mean, I practice every day, not every day, but like that is my goal. And the more I sort of commit to that goal, the more I consistently hit it. And the more I set reasonable goals, the more I can hit them. So it's about small, reasonable things that you can do, that you can guarantee that you can do every day, even if it's just 10, 15, 30 minutes of practice. That's been huge for me. And being able to do that consistently and set up ways to sort of condition myself to do that at different parts of the day. Like the dog with salivating at the bell, there are a lot of things like that where you can sort of condition yourself. And I still have a lot of work to do on that. I'm by no means a machine. at this point, nor do I really want to be, but it's a lot of things become a lot easier for you. They become less of a burden, less of an effort when you can sort of take advantage of these natural tendencies of the brain. And another aspect of it is I have no real affiliation with any kind of spirituality or religion or philosophy, really, but in terms of concrete practice, meditation is really going to be a huge benefit to you in so many ways. But I wouldn't say it's changed miracles. The effects are very subtle, but it's been a really effective practice for helping me remain in what I'm doing at this moment and focus on the things that I have control over. And that's number 3, is really taking a minute to evaluate the things that you're perceiving that are distressing you in your life, and deciding what you have control over and what you don't. And or in somewhere in the, this is a very stoic approach, by the way, but there's somewhere in the middle where there's some things that you kind of have control over, but you kind of don't. So, think about that. And then obviously the things you don't have control over, it's really not worth devoting your attention to them. There's no point in fretting about them. And a lot of that for me this year has been these kind of global events and things that are causing a lot of people to suffer that I really, I struggle to sort of wrap my head around, and I struggle to know what to do about it. And sometimes an opportunity arises to do something about it, and or to help somebody. Of course, when that opportunity arises, I will take it. That's something I have control over. But a lot of these things, we are just small, simple beings in a very large, complex, very intense universe, and we only can do so much. And really, honestly, the best thing, in my opinion, the best thing you can do for the world is to just really focus on yourself. And I don't mean just do things that benefit yourself. I mean, like, really make your own presence excuse me, make your own presence a relief for other people. And it's really that simple. If you can really take care of yourself and help yourself to grow and give yourself the potential to have more power and flexibility, and have more, not necessarily optimism, but just lightness and peace in the world, it will really go a long way for other people. And so anyway, I don't want to ramble on about all this stuff, but I guess my ultimate point here is this. 2020 is just a year, and it's I feel like it's been blown up to be something really. It's this icon of like of the apocalypse and of this dystopian future that we're on the verge of. I don't know, maybe that's the thing. Like, that's just what I'm seeing in whatever social media feeds I'm observing, or what the news that I tune into every now and then. It's just like, that's what you hear. It's not what you have to believe. And really, like I said, I don't want to deny your suffering if you are really struggling right now. If you are, I really feel for you, and I appreciate that. If you are struggling with food or money or whatever it is, yeah, I understand. But no matter who you are, no matter what your position is, and I think for a lot of us who aren't directly suffering right now from external things, it's even more important that you focus on this. It's, you have flexibility, you have a choice, and you have control over certain things in your life, and mainly you have control over where you put your focus, where you decide to place your attention. And when you really observe the things that are nearer to you, the things that are simple, that you experience on a day-to-day basis, when you really look at what's happening to you on a day-to-day basis, you may find that the narrative is quite different. You may find that it doesn't look quite so disastrous. You may find that it might even look a bit beautiful, or a bit satisfying even. It's I think it's just really important to not become wrapped up in the total narrative, and not just take that for granted, and really look at yourself and your situation and the people around you, and the beautiful things that are happening already right in front of you, and really appreciate them, and take a minute just to watch them. And that's my message for you today. I know it's not strictly art related, but really, if you apply these principles to your practice, it will do wonders for you, and it will do wonders for a lot of things in your life. And I think really it will help you create great art. I know it has for me, and it doesn't mean I create masterpieces every time, but it really does help to make the whole practice more enjoyable and easy. And anyway, thank you all for joining me for this video, and I hope you have a great new year, and I hope you have a lot of opportunities to grow your skills and to improve your own life in ways. Once again, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, that will really help me out quite a bit, and keep an eye out once again for announcements about an opportunity I will be releasing on my website soon to have a bit more one-on-one interaction with other artists, and to provide a little bit more guidance for you in your craft. So until next time, guys, take care.